Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, lads and ladies, podcast is back. I am Travis Ridgen, number 33 for the Watertown Wolves, your hometown Watertown Wolves in the Fedzino FPHL. On the other side of this FaceTime call, Mr. Dave Wheeler on the City of Winnipeg, the number one morning show. For the last 20 years, he has run. He is slicing and dicing it up in the city. How are you, Dave?
Sorry, I'm just listening to the new Travis Kelce, Aaron Rodgers remix called Mr. Pfizer, Mr. Johnson & Johnson. I think Taylor Swift cameos on this one. I'll tell you when it comes up. Yeah, it's good.
How's it sounding?
Yeah. If you want to touch on that a little bit later, you're the one that brought it up a couple weeks ago. I think it's hilarious. They've been sharing jabs back and forth, no pun intended. But yeah, we can touch on that later on in the show. But
that's good. That's
right?
good.
Yeah, see, that's what 25 years of radio will yield jokes like that. But I really want to know. Listen, if we can just jump right into this. I know you had your preseason game. I know the big start happened. I didn't see it pop up on the vlog. So I mean, are we getting the OG information here?
Yes, of course. The podcast always has the exclusive. It always has the early information. Now, just so that you know, for those that haven't pieced it together, maybe you're a new listener to the podcast or viewer of the vlog is never in real time. So the vlog right now, I believe, is 2 weeks behind. I'm still catching up on editing right now as we speak, basically. But the podcast is in real time. So today's Thursday, Friday, and this will go up on Sunday. So you're listening to this on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern when it drops. This was recorded 2 days ago. So this is the most up-to-date stuff, but the vlog will catch up at a later date. You get the visual experience. But until that comes out, you get me telling you through the audio experience.
Amazing. Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Hockey season is back. The NHL is back. The leagues are back. They're making cuts. Everything's happening. Teams are starting to shift. Great time of year. I love mid-October.
It doesn't get any better. It's pumpkin spice season as well. I have a story that I would like to tell. I think this is going to set the tone for the episode beautifully.
You haven't even told us about the exhibition game yet. Are you teasing us now? Okay. All right. Say what you got to say that I want to hear about the game.
Yeah, we'll get into the exhibition game in a second, but this, I think, is a story that everybody needs to hear. So, home opening weekend for basically every team in the Fedzino, except for the southern teams. They start training camp this weekend, but everybody else starts this coming weekend. So all the roster cuts have been made, and there was a player that we had in camp here in Watertown. Now, and I'm not exaggerating. I know, me and Dave like to BS from time to time, and from time to time, I mean all the time, but this is a true story. So I'm in goal, right? If you don't know, I'm a goalie. I play in the crease in the blue 6x4, and at practice about a week ago, we're running 2-on-1s. The guy makes a shot, I make the save, and he skates through my crease. And for the first time in my life, I smelled cigarette smoke on the ice in this hockey arena. And it was something you don't expect to smell that. And it turns out we have a player who played for the Delaware Thunder last year who mid-practice was going for cigarette breaks. So he'd run the warm-up, run a couple drills, go in for, he'd tell coach I'm taking a dump, he'd go in for a shit break. But he'd be going outside with his skate guards on and having a dart in between practice. And I just smell cigarette smoke coming through my crease. I never thought that my crease would be the place that I smell cigarette smoke. But that's a true story. How crazy is that?
Well, listen, I mean, he's not the first, and he certainly won't be the last. Don't forget, guy like the Guy Lafleur era, they would have cartons of cigarettes sitting on the bench in the middle for the guys to sit there and have a couple puffs during in between periods. Maybe a beer just to kind of keep the blood flowing. But I got to a point where when I was playing beer league hockey, I usually had a plug of Copenhagen and even just skating around. So, listen, we all got our vices. And hey, if it threw your head for a loop and got you out of your game, it worked.
I don't know if it necessarily threw my head for a loop, but it was one of those what am I smelling? Oh, cigarette smoke. And that was one of the first comments the guys made in the locker room after was, we have the Guy Lafleur of the Federal Prospects Hockey League here. Smoking cigarettes mid-practice.
There you go, man. Hey, listen, and I am not defending smoking at all. I'm not defending smoking.
For the record, he did have smokes on him when we were doing team fitness testing and runs, by the way, just so that you know.
So here's the thing. The science is out. It's bad for you. It's bad for your lungs, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But there is a lot of nicotine in those cigarettes, too. And I mean, you've got guys that are either pounding coffees, trying to get that extra caffeine in. I remember when guys were popping the little blue pills and whatnot, ephedrine, popping them by the handfuls back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, listen, if someone can get a little more of a jump in their game and it takes the nicotine, just saying.
If you're on the audio version of the podcast, you have no idea what was just happening. If you're on the video version, you saw that unfold on Dave's end.
I didn't know what to do with my hands.
I piss excellence every day, Cal. I really do.
Yeah, listen, man. Everyone's got their thing. I mean, I played with a guy. God love him, Travis Gladue. He if he would have gotten an extra 3 inches north instead of east-west, he would have had a really good shot in the pros. But he ended up playing with the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. Travis Gladue is his name. He then with the Grant McEwen Griffins and put up a lot of numbers there. But this guy would have chocolate bars and sodas in between periods. And guess what? He went out there and scored a lot of goals. So if that's what got him to score goals, give the guy his soda and his chocolate bars. I don't care.
Give him what he wants. Speaking of games and performing, do you want to talk about the preseason game?
Which one? Yours?
There was only one.
That
there was
happen?
only one.
Was that a game? The one I was asking about off the top? Yeah, I want to hear about that game.
All right. So, me playing for the Watertown Wolves, we played the Elmira River Sharks, and they're not the feet eaters, they're not the mammoth, they're not the enforcers, they're not the whatever other names they've had before. They're the Elmira River Sharks. And so the River Sharks come to town, and just so that people know, so for the preseason, everybody's dressing, right? There's no limit on how many guys can or can't dress. So if you saw, the clips on Instagram, because Instagram saw it first, we have 3 goalies, and all 3 dressed, myself included, for this game. Everybody got a period. And that was the setup leading for this game. And, we'd been talking about this for a while. I know you and I had confirmed this months ago that I was going to start the first preseason game. We talked about this in like June or July. Did we not, Dave? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it was locked in for the books.
That was, hey, we know what day I'm going to be getting in the cage, and everyone circled that on their calendars. I remember.
Yeah. And I got to say, too, like for the pregame introductions for the starting lineup, to the incredible fans in the Watertown Municipality Arena, to obviously the starting lineup, the forwards, the D, everybody got a good, loud standing ovation. But the incredible reception when they announced that I was starting the game from the fans was, I didn't expect that. And that was really awesome. So to the fans that came and supported the team, and myself specifically, thank you so much for coming, because it was awesome. And we also did a little meet and greet with the fans after too, so it was nice as well. But what an awesome night. As far as performance goes, so yours truly started, and I'll put some video clips in the video version of the show. So I went, I believe, 10 for 11. It might have been 11 for 12, one of the two. In the first period, again, I only played 20 minutes, so that was the first period. 1 goal against, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Now, the guy who scored, he's from some weird country called Latvia or Lithuania. You ever seen the clip from Semi-Pro? He's from a weird country.
One of those L countries.
You've seen that, though, from Semi-Pro, Will Ferrell, right? He's from a weird country called Lithuania. But he came down on a partial breakaway and ripped a beautiful shot. And again, you'll see in the video version, absolute clanker off the bar and in. I thought it was bar and out. It made such a loud sound, and which you can see why I was moving to the other side of the net. I thought it came out, but give credit where credit is due. An incredible shot. But I think we killed 2. It might have been 3 penalties in that first period while I was in net. Especially we had one early on and one late. I think those are big kills because the first 2 minutes of every period and the last 2 minutes are incredibly important, and that's momentum carrying on for the rest of the period or into the second period for everybody to kind of manifest and dwell on. And if something was to go wrong, and the fact we were able to kill it was huge. Overall, performance-wise, I thought my puck handling was great. My puck handling has always been great. I've always been very exceptional at that. So every time the puck was behind the net, stop it. We maintain possession, making passes, even on the penalty kill to get the puck to our guys, get it out of the zone. I would give that an A++. Puck stopping-wise, I would have liked to see a little bit more control in my performance. Keep in mind, and if you've seen the video version, there is a shit ton of traffic on what felt like every single save. There was like 5 or 6 guys in front of me between our guys and their guys. So I was having a difficult time seeing the puck, which in turn made it a little bit more difficult to maybe react the way that I would have liked to. But all in all, I made the saves. They don't ask how. They just want saves to be made. And if there was a goal to give up, having a clinker go on a 1-on-0, a partial breakaway, bar down, glove side, and a beautiful shot where it just horsed it by me, I don't think you could ask for much more. So performance, I would say solid. I would say a solid 8, maybe like an 8.5. Obviously room for improvement, but that's how I would grade my performance. If you're trying to find the video version of, not the podcast, of the actual live stream of the game, so Elmira, and shout out to John Clement, he's their play-by-play guy for Elmira. He works the camera and does the play-by-play. This guy's an absolute legend. Wow. He's a one-man wrecking crew over there, by the way, Dave.
Wow, that's impressive. Jeepers Murphy. I thought running the board and talking to a microphone was something.
Yeah, he's literally doing the play-by-play as he's working the camera angle and refocusing. So, John, we salute you. We tip our hat to you over here in Watertown. But for us here in Watertown, I believe the team has lost their password to the YouTube channel where we live stream the games, and I could be incorrect here, but it's gone and bounced around a couple different YouTube user channel names, so it is there somewhere. I can throw a link in the video description for anybody that wants to watch the actual game and the highlights, but yeah, the home opening games and the games moving forward are all free, streamed on YouTube, and you can check those out on the Watertown Wolves YouTube page. Hopefully they get the password up and running again sometime soon.
So it was a 3-1 win for the Watertown Wolves. Give me a quick Reader's Digest on how you felt the team played.
We've been just getting skated really hard every day at practice. Like every day we were practicing for an hour and a half. We get bag skated at the end, and we're also doing workouts at the gym every single day. We will, without a doubt, have the hardest routine, the most in shape routine of anybody in the Fed, because we have literally bag skated more times today in Watertown and the day of recording this show than we did the entire season when I was with my former employer, who we're still not allowed to mention on the show. All of last season. We have gone to the gym more times today as a team than with my former employer again. So just like we are on point, we are dialed, and Coach Verbeek does not mess around when it comes to fitness and conditioning. And hopefully we do get a couple days off soon, because I think I speak for a lot of guys that it's good to get like a mental break, to just physically not show up at the rink. You don't see me, I don't see you. Let's just go do something completely unhockey related and unprofession related, like to our actual profession. And I think that'd be really great. But I would say that, all things considered, we performed to the best of our abilities. And, I don't know. It's tough to say because it's still preseason. We had a lot of guys that aren't starters playing because everybody's trying to get a shake in the lineup. So, I don't know. I'm also a goalie. I don't really understand a lot of player stuff. You're probably more knowledgeable with that than I am, Dave.
Well, listen, Verbeek was around when Herb Brooks was around. So is he the Herb Brooks of the Fed Zeno?
Again and again. Sometimes it feels like that. It feels like Herb's ghost is in there coaching us. But Coach Verbeek doesn't stop. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just goes and goes and goes, and he doesn't stop until actually they literally had to kick us off the ice today. Like we were getting bag skate at the end, and when the Zamboni guys opened up the door, we all collectively were like, "Thank God, thank you so much." But this man was not going to stop.
And listen, I love hearing that. I love hearing that. That's those are tales from my days of playing hockey, and I feel like a little bit that's lost. And I guarantee you, like you said, you're going to be the most in shape team. You'll also be the team that finishes their shifts. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, but it starts. You got to have a fresh pair of underwear. Can't be crapping your diaper mid-shift, right?
Yeah, make sure you're wearing sheath underwear. I'm wearing my sheath underwear right now. I've actually got it into a rotation now where that's all I wear. And unless somebody screws up the laundry rotation, then I'm going commando. But it's sheath every day, and I'll tell you, life gets better. Sheath underwear. Think about it for Thanksgiving. Think about it for Christmas. Get that order in now and just take it off your list. Done. Bamboo mesh. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
And the reason why you're going to want it is Sheath has their dual pouch technology. It's a separated compartment for your dick and your balls. Put them into separate compartments. They don't stick to the side of your leg or stick to each other. They're aerated. They're breathing. They're not being compressed and all tight. And right now, if you go to the link in the video description or the link in the Apple, Spotify podcast notes, you click on sheathunderwear.com, use the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69. You're going to get yourself 20% off the greatest pair of underwear money can buy. That's a guaranteed promise founded by a former member of the U.S. Marines, only from Sheath.
Now, I got to ask because you said you felt comfortable on the net, and I mean you're playing an exhibition game in the and then the Fedzino, the Federal Prospects Hockey League. Do you think that your style of play would be good enough to go over and play in professional women's hockey the way you've been running that mouth of yours?
Why do you think people are upset about that?
Because they don't like people swinging down.
Why is that?
Well, look at it this way. I mean, that's like it's like having a tyrannical king, a tyrannical ruler, where they're going. It's like, whoa, hey, look, what are you doing? Like you're already up there. You're already sitting on the throne. Why are you coming after us?
I'm Travis Ridge, and I'm your fearless emperor of the Fedzino. How are you?
Well, you're playing men's professional hockey, and women's professional hockey has been fighting. I mean, just to even get mentioned in the ranks of professional hockey, and you come and say, yeah, I could go over and play professional hockey. Yeah, you probably could. You absolutely could. And I mean, unless you're what's his name from Man on the Moon, Andy Kaufman. Unless you're Andy Kaufman and you're going to get into a wrestling ring and actually wrestle women, then I mean, it's just kind of a moot point of an argument.
You know, so if you don't know, the clip that Derek Buja, my goalie coach, and I recorded well over a month ago talking about my potential dominance of women's hockey resurfaced on the internet this week and exploded. It went everywhere. It was on every Facebook forum, every hockey forum, you name it, all over Instagram, whatnot. It was to an extent to take the piss out of this ridiculous wokeness going on in the world of men pretending to be women to go into women's prisons to take advantage of women, or men going into women's sports to dominate in weightlifting, in swimming, all these ridiculous things. And that was my attempt to kind of take the piss out of that. But at the same time, as much as, if anybody's listened to this podcast for more than 5 minutes or watched my vlog, you know that I'm a blue-collar conservative male. I'm not going to be transitioning to a woman anytime soon. However, if I became a woman and I transitioned, I don't know what the parameters for that are. You can't tell me that I would not dominate and smash women's hockey's records. These women are all under 6 feet tall. They don't have the same muscle mass as men. Yes, they're more flexible and maybe they have a little bit more mobility than I would have. But I'm a man. It is universally accepted that men are stronger physically than women. 10 years ago, everybody would have said, yeah, okay, that's fair. Now, all of a sudden, it's crazy and lunacy to say that men are physically stronger than women. I don't get where this has become a problem. You look at the NHL All-Star game last year in the shootout. They had Sarah Nurse shooting on Igor Shesterkin, the best goalie in the world versus the best women's female hockey player in the world. They paid this dude to let her score because they know she's not going to score. So let's just make her look good. Igor, please move out of the way of the puck and let Sarah score so it looks good for TV. We all know it. Men are physically stronger than women. It's the way that it is. And men's AAA boys hockey is what competes against the Olympic national women's team when they're getting ready for the Olympics, because they're not on the same level as the men. It's just the way that it is.
And listen, I'd like to remind you that you're in a room by yourself screaming into a microphone, and that's where most of these arguments should stay, is in a room by yourself. But when it comes to your position in particular, a lot of that weight, size, all that stuff, physical attributes, kind of goes out the window, and it just comes down to you and people shooting on you, regardless of what age, what stature. I mean, you've had guys who are under 5'8" put the puck behind you in net, right? Because they're not coming in and they're not having a physical fist fight with you. They're just trying to put the puck behind you. So I think in Bugard's argument to you is it comes down to skill.
Bugard or Bujen?
Bujen, pardon me. I think he brought up a point where he said, and I've been on the ice with the University of Manitoba Bison's women. I've gone out and skated and played some charity games with them. They can move the puck well. They're smart. And they find a way to get the puck to the net. It may not be, the clapper that Al McInnes would send from the blue line, but good odds that you'd probably let in a few. I'm not saying that you wouldn't go in there and do well, but it's one of those old tests, like who would win in a fight between Mike Tyson and Joe Louis. We'll never know. We'll never know, because that won't happen, nor do I see you suiting up anytime soon for a women's professional hockey team. So to even throw out the argument is just, you're asking for it. You was looking for it and you found it.
Well, Dave, the reason why I think transition to women's professional hockey from men's professional hockey is so interesting is because I'm making $125 a week minimum to $225 a week maximum in the FPHL. These women are making $100,000 a year playing women's pro hockey, which is more than my entire payroll for the entire team that I play for in a calendar year. Why wouldn't I go play in dummy women's professional hockey? The CBC would love me. I would be an extreme activist for women's rights, as well as my climate change agenda that I'm a part of. And I'm making 100 G's, baby. I can quit this podcast and just dummy women's hockey.
You would be, look at, when the NHL went on strike and a lot of players went overseas and played in European leagues, there was part of me that was like, oh, cool, it'd be fun to see how they do over there. The other part of me thought, there's a lot of dudes over there that are losing jobs. So, I mean, women are having a hard enough time, carving out their place in professional sports as it is. They don't need some dude coming in there to take a spot where some worthy player would be able to go in there and play. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. You would probably go in and probably be the best goaltender in the league, and it would have a big asterisk next to it, and all those things would happen. But it's never going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, hey, keep wearing that belt, man. Keep wearing that belt. You walk around and you say, best women in goaltending, Winnipeg hockey. Yeah. It's a lot of writing to put on that belt, but I'll get one for you.
I could see in the post-game interviews. My name is Travis Ridgen, and I have the biggest ham bone in the locker room. My horn is the biggest.
Hey, speaking of maybe not allowing certain people into certain sports and do certain areas, I think we kind of learned. Boy. Well, listen, I think we kind of learned over the whole Trevor Bauer situation that maybe we should wait for all of the variables to come out before we put the equation together and see what it equals out to. But without naming any names, without naming any teams, without naming anything, I understand it. You guys are at the above the line, and when it comes to what's professional and not professional in hockey, and there are some questionable things that happen in the traveling circus. That I get, but there was an interesting signing that I saw come across the FPHL website about a certain player that we had talked a little bit about a certain point of time that not a lot of the players agree should be playing in this league because of some of the ways he treated certain people. Is that as vague? I know that's really vague.
Yeah,
but that's the best
I'll
way
take
to
it
put
from here. It's okay, Nate. You can go take a coffee break. Take a coffee break,
Yeah,
Nate. I'll
thank
take
you,
over.
I will.
So we covered this last season on last season's episode of the podcast, but there was a player last year in the FPHL. Now, I have been given the green light by my general manager, my owner, to talk about this because I believe this is something that we should be talking about, and I think that all men should agree this is something we should talk about. I don't know if this individual or his team will agree, but I don't really care. So there was a player in the FPHL last season that was playing for a team who is an extremely talented player and was suspended for the entirety of the season after he was busted beating the shit out of his wife, which we do not condone on the show, nor do I, nor does Dave, nor does anybody. And I've heard this from multiple players. I've heard this as rumors, and I've been told by guys that I would consider a close personal friend who broke this altercation up. So this guy was suspended for the remainder of the season for this, and good in the league. We should be suspending a guy who beats the shit out of his wife. That is not acceptable. As men, we don't touch women. We don't lay a hand on them unless we're going to give them a hug, potentially, of course, which is number one. But we don't touch women because, again, men are stronger than women. That's not fair. You don't touch your wife. It doesn't matter what the altercation is. And if a woman hits you, there's a 3 strikes rule. She hits you once, that's fine. She hits you twice, that's okay. 3 times, now you can defend yourself. You don't hit her, but you defend yourself. That is the rule that I live by. And so this player is suspended for the remainder of the season. Now, there was another player in the league that made a public Instagram post stating, I can't wait to play this guy so that I can beat the shit out of him because we're allowed to fight in the Federal Professional Hockey League. Now, this player was then suspended for, I believe, 4 games for making this post. I'm just saying, should have been okay. I totally condone that post. I think everybody in the league agrees on it. It's just nobody wants to say anything about it, and it is not okay. Now, this player was protected in the expansion draft this summer, and at first I kind of scratched my head, but then I thought, okay, wait, maybe they're going to take a stand and say, we'll protect him so that nobody else can take him because we hold the cards to make sure that he doesn't play in this league. Makes sense, right? Team's going to stand behind these morals and these principles that beating your wife is not okay. This player was recently re-signed and re-added to the roster and is going to be competing in the league this season, and we, the Watertown Wolves, will have to deal with him, and when and if I play against this team, I will have to deal with this guy. So I feel as a man, as a responsible man in 2023, it is my duty to talk about this and say that this is not right. I know I speak for a lot of guys in the league that are very pissed off about this bullshit, that you cannot beat your wife, lay a hand on your wife, no matter what country you come from, and still be allowed to play in the league. Not mentioning names, not mentioning a team, but it's not right. Dave?
Well,
thoughts?
I think regardless of whether or not somebody sent out a social media post or not, there's a lot that didn't that probably have very similar thoughts on how to deal with that this season. So curious to see how that unfolds, and justice usually has a way of sorting itself out.
We've talked about on the show before, like the universe works in a funny way. God has a way of evening itself out. Who knows? Maybe this guy's going to be the absolute detriment to the team. Who knows? But I just felt that it was right to talk about this. I'm glad that, my general manager and my owner said it was okay to talk about this. And, I hope that the powers that be work it all out. I will leave it at that because this might get me suspended, but this is the right thing to say and the right thing to do.
Well, I'll be honest with you. One thing I was happy about, speaking of fighting, is when I was grazing across the opening night highlights, I was happy to see that a sports media company actually had the nuts to put a fight in the highlight reel. I thought that was great. I thought they were kind of frowning against that, saying that if that happens, it's only going to be seen live. We're not going to be showing that in the highlight package. First night, Mr. Reeves, courtesy of the Toronto Maple Leafs, decided to have a go at it, and I thought it was great.
Do you see the when he walked in the for warm-ups? Sorry, skated on for warm-ups. He did the this pose. No,
Oh,
you
yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
What a
Flexing
nail
early,
gun.
man. And listen, even after the fight, he kind of gave him a nod. He's like, "All right, yeah, hey, I rang the bell. He answered. It was a good shaking off the rust."
I love a good fight in the Fed Zone. There's so many fights. I don't know why you wouldn't come to a game. Also, I've sold more Origin jerseys, by the way, this week. So
Hey.
if anybody's looking to pick up a Watertown Wolves jersey, there's a link in the video description. Also, this is another great story as well. I forgot to mention this for the preseason game. So if you watch the preseason game on YouTube, or I guess you'll eventually see the highlights on the video version of the podcast, I was wearing number 31 for the game. Now, Dave, what is my number during the season?
33.
33 for those counting in French, for the 3 French guys who listen to the show. So my number's 33. Now, people were confused. I posted these clips on Instagram. People were like, I thought you were 33. I bought a 33 jersey. Why are you wearing 31? Now, tell me this is not the most Fed Zeno thing ever, okay? So we're playing the preseason game, Watertown Wolves versus Elmira River Sharks. I'm wearing 33. The team has sold my 33 jersey before the game. So they give it to a fan, and so instead they give me 31. Because we've sold the actual jersey that I'm going to be wearing. Is that not the most Federal Hockey League thing you've ever heard of? We sold his jersey. Give him a different one. Just sell it.
You know what?
$185.
If that thing ever comes across your Sharpie, you got to sign it as almost game worn.
Actually, I did. So after the game, our general manager asked me to deliver this jersey to this person. And shout out to Karen. Karen comments on every episode of the podcast. She's a day one loyal listener. So Karen, shout out to you. I hand-delivered the jersey to her and signed it and everything. But that was almost game used. And she was actually a little bit upset. She's like, I wish you would have used this. And I said, I kind of do as well.
Yeah. Instead of 31.
Yeah, so now we got a 31 jersey we got to sign and sell, as well as the 31. But yeah, there'll be plenty more jerseys to go around this season.
Hey, speaking of jerseys, number 98 in the Chicago Blackhawks uniform looked pretty good. Listen, the NHL ain't stupid. They know what they're doing. They had Crosby and Bedard facing off for the opening face-off of the season. Makes total sense. It was nice to see him get an assist and then eventually a goal. Got to get a win under his belt, though. But I think the Blackhawks are going to be hard-pressed in the Central. I think they're going to be playing jump rope with that wild card line for most of the season. So Bedard, I think this is going to be a really good learning season for him. It's going to give him an opportunity to cut his teeth, make some mistakes without a whole lot of pressure of needing to perform for the team. So, man, he's going to be fun to watch. He really is. I know he's small, and I know he's only 185 pounds. Give him a chance to put on some man weight. I think he's going to be able to handle himself out there. He was pretty well protected for the most part. He's got Corey Perry out there. I am
the worm.
Yeah, well, listen, I am blessed that he's in the Central Division. I'm going to get a chance to see him play against the Jets a lot this year. So, yeah, just exciting times. Exciting times for the league, man. Connor Bedard's going to be great.
I was going to say, who's also going to see him, or see a lot of him, is my boy, Connor Hellebuyck, the guy who I want to rip off his skin and wear to my birthday party.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. For them to do joint signings like that, 7 years each, and man, listen, it wasn't that long ago that when Crosby signed for $8.7 million a year, we're like, holy moly, that's got to be one of the biggest ones. I mean, hey, that's the benchmark. Now you got to play as good as Crosby to get those kind of contracts. Apparently not anymore. Apparently that's just kind of like mid-range. Like if you're in under a point of player kind of production for Mark Scheifele, you're making that kind of cake too. And Connor Hellebuyck, Vezina winner, he's got more of an argument to get that kind of money for sure, and especially when he's the cornerstone of your defense. I get it, but there is a conspiracy theory floating around saying this just makes them easier to trade maybe as a package deal.
So you're paying them the exact same price when you trade them?
Well, I mean, as far as the cap hit isn't as high as what they're actually making. So if you can package them together, and I'm not saying immediately, but see what their production is this year, and it's a 7-year contract. You can wait a couple of years, see how they do. But, I mean, if you want to strike while the iron's hot, you'd want to get them within the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I still think Connor Hellebuyck is the best goalie in the league. He has been for a couple of years. He's on the worst team consistently, and he just bails them out every single night. He is so technical, so detailed. The least flexible, or the most unflexible goalie in the entire National Hockey League, potentially all of professional hockey as well. But he is my guy, and he's the guy that I love watching.
Well, if you like watching him, then do me a favor and stand up a little bit more. And I'm not even a goalie. I even notice in your vlogs you're getting down too much. You're tall. Stay up.
He does a great job of that. I got to implement a little bit more of that. But yeah, well, what's the guy's name from Blades of Glory? Hector, the stalker for Jimmy McElroy. Remember that guy?
Yes, of course. With the race car bed.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, just want to rip off your skin and wear it to my birthday party this coming week. Anyway, I'm still going to kill you one day.
Yep. No problem. See you later.
Hector, how did you find this out? Because nobody can obsess like I can, Jimmy. Wow, what a movie.
Listen, I'm just happy hockey's back. I mean, the smile on my face, especially not only because it's hockey in Canada and it comes with all the other things that come with fall and Christmas coming up, but I mean as a guy who covers sports every single morning and to be able to have games on every single night where I can grab audio and tell stories, love it.
Yeah, and if you want to tell an awesome story from your date night, team up Manscape, the next sponsor, the second sponsor for the show. It starts with the Manscaped Beard Hedger. As you can see, I have my beard tapered up for our home opening weekend, and you can too. You can taper up your below-the-belt beard with the new Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 2.0 as well. The beard hedger, though, that I use has 20 different lengths. It has a 60-minute battery life. It's waterproof as well. And you can pick it up at the link in the video description at manscape.com. Use the code BIZKIT, BIZKIT, for 20% off and free shipping. Same thing in the Apple Spotify notes if you're over there. And only from the team at manscape.com. Thank you for them for sponsoring the show as always.
Very handy if you're going to be doing any sort of creative hair decorating for Halloween, too.
You ever seen what's the Vanderpump Rules? Jax Taylor. He's actually an active member of the goalie community. He got there's a picture of his ex-girlfriend tattooed on his shoulder, and he's got some other one tattooed on the inside of his arm. It's interesting. He's an interesting cat.
Well, listen, in this day and age with tattoo removal and tattoo cover-ups and whatnot, why not? Go for it.
Did I tell you I was thinking about getting a tattoo, by the way?
Really?
I got zero ink. I want you to tell me what you think about this. I mean, I guess we can cap off with this end of the show. So we're talking a lot about self-improvement the last little bit and, things that have changed up in my life, trying to dress myself better, going to the gym more often, trying to just be an overall well-rounded man, doing the therapy twice a week and working on myself. I had this idea, just this light bulb popped off the other day. I was like, I need to get a tattoo. Now what? I don't know if you're going to like this or hate this, Dave. I was thinking of on my neck, right kind of down here, Winnipeg on my neck. Because I'm probably not going to live in Winnipeg anytime soon or ever again. I'll go back to Vancouver in the spring and summer when the season's done. But I do love Winnipeg. Winnipeg will always be home. My mom lives there. You're there. I love Winnipeg. I'm a patriotic Winnipegger. So I figured if I can't go back to Winnipeg, I should get Winnipeg tattooed on my neck, just going down like that. Thoughts?
I am going to give you some advice that I was given when I first started getting tattoos. And keep in mind, I have a lot of ink on this frame. This comes directly from Brian Setzer of the Brian Setzer Orchestra, who has tattoos all the way down to his wrists and all the way up to his neckline, who said, never get a tattoo where a judge might see it if you're wearing a suit in court. And I'll be honest with you, on the heels of that, there is a tattoo community, and I follow a lot of them on social media, and there was one that I thought was a really good question asked of a lot of professional tattoo artists saying, hey, what's a trend that guys from my generation still have, the barbed wire. That was a big thing. Or the tribals.
Or the
tribals,
anchor.
Right.
The anchor with the mom heart, yeah.
Tattoos are very fashionable, with certain things. So they said, what's the one fashion right now that you don't like? They said, people coming in getting face tattoos who don't have any other tattoos. If you're going to get a tattoo where only you're going to see it for a little while. See how it looks on you. See how you look in the mirror. Whether you like it, whether you want to go bigger, go from there. Don't start somewhere where it's visible. Don't start somewhere where it's going to be right there all the time for everyone to see, because you don't even know if you're going to like it yet or not.
That's true. And this may be the CTE and all the pucks off my head for many, many, many years starting to kind of show its age. But my thought process was actually the inverse, was I want everybody to see it because, whether I have a mask on and, gear on the ice, or I'm in the courtroom, pleading the fifth or whatever it is, I want people to know that, I'm from Winnipeg and it's, right here. And, I don't know. Maybe that is the CTE kind of wearing off. Anyway, let us know in the comment section. What should I get? Is that a good idea? Are you a tattoo lover? I don't know. I'm going through a young life crisis.
Hey, man, you're looking good. I'm looking forward to opening day. I'm looking forward to the season. I'm assuming we don't have any idea yet on when we're going to see you in the cage for your official start in the regular season?
I don't know. We'll see. Lineup's got to be made for this weekend still. And I think things will work themselves out. Be patient. Give it time. Things will work itself out. And there's gonna be some starts. Don't worry. There's also 7 guaranteed starts versus my former employer. Can't say their name on the show anymore.
Careful. I'm just happy. I'm excited. Hockey season's back, baby. Let's go. I'm excited. I got my Canadian flannel on. I'm ready to go. It's fall time. Hockey's back. Travis Ridgen's back playing in the FPHL. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on this podcast. Sign up to be a Patreon member if you haven't already. You get a mug. You get hockey cards. You get a whole bunch of great stuff. Go check it out. There's a link down in the podcast description. Man, I'm excited. I've always loved doing this podcast, but even more so when hockey season is happening.
Hold on, though, Dave. You're forgetting about the exclusive Patreon episode that got deleted that had to be removed 2 weeks ago. That's up there. That's exclusive. You can watch that on Patreon right now for $5 a month as well, on top of getting a Slangin The Bizkit sweater, comfy white sweater.
Amazing. All right, man. Take us out.
All right. If you are new to the show, we do a new episode of this show every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That is 10 a.m. in Winnipeg. It's 9 in Calgary, 8 in the West Coast, Vancouver, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Also, 4 p.m. in Sweden as well. If you're on the video version, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment. Me and Dave talk every single Sunday in the comment section with you. The vlog is about 2 weeks behind. It will catch up with this podcast as the exclusive every single week. My name is Travis Ridgen. I play for the Watertown Wolves, number 33 on the ice, number 33 in your heart. Unless you buy my jersey before the game, then I'll probably wear something else. Dave Wheeler, He has a morning show called Wheeler in the Morning on Energy 106, as he has had for 20 years. We will see you next Sunday.